All right, welcome to Tuesday. Remember, when I am factoring, the first question I always ask myself, is there a GCF? And then I can factor from there. And when I factor that next step, I always ask myself, is A equal 1 or is A equal to more than 1? So here, we're going to be practicing with problems that do have a GCF. So in each of these problems, I'm going to tell you right now, all the way through this page, we do have a GCF. So let's take a look. I'm checking. Do I have a GCF? Is there a number that multiplies to 5, 40, and 75? Yes, there is. That number is 5. 5 multiplies to 5, 40, and 75. And it's very typical for the GCF to just be that smallest number. So 5 times what is 5x squared? Well, 5 times x squared is 5x squared. 5 times what is 40x? And look, you can do this if you need to. 5 times what is 40? Oh, 5 times 8 is 40. So 5 times 8x is 40x. Now, 5 times what is 75? Now look, this isn't going to do it for you because it doesn't go up to 75. What you can do is if you need to, you can put in a calculator 75 divided by 5. Or it'd be even better if you knew that 5 times 15 is 75. So first I checked for the GCF. I did that. Now my next step is going to look like this. And here, this is going to be just like what we did yesterday. Right? If you remember yesterday, we needed two numbers that multiply to this, add to this. And why is it like yesterday? Because notice, look, I have x squared, just a 1x squared here. And so I need two numbers that multiply to 15, add to 8. And those two numbers are 5 and 3. Okay, next example. Here, the first thing I notice is there's a negative out in front. So right away, I know I'm going to take out a negative GCF if I see a negative out in front. And what's the greatest common factor of 3, 24, and 60? What number multiplies to 3, 24, and 60? And I'm going to say that's 3, right? Only two numbers multiply to 3, 3 and 1. So does 3 multiply to 24? Yes. Does 3 multiply to 60? Yes. Okay, negative 3 times what is negative 3x squared? X squared. Negative 3 times what is negative 24x? Let's talk about signs first. A negative times a positive is a negative. And 3 times what is 24? 3 times 8 is 24. Okay, so look, negative times positive is negative. 3 times 8 is 24. And since there's an x, it's negative 3 times 8x. And negative 3, look, a negative times a negative is a positive. And 3 times 20 is 60, right? I know that 3 times 2 is 6. So 3 times 20 is 60. Okay, so now I took out the GCF. And now, again, I observe this is just 1x squared, right? So I need two numbers that multiply to negative 20 and add to 8. If they multiply to a negative, I know that's going to be one negative, one positive. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to 20 and subtract to get 8. Those numbers are 10 and 2. And since I want them to add to positive 8, I'm going to go ahead and put the larger number as positive and the smaller number as negative. And there's my answer. One more example. What's the greatest common factor of 4x to the third, negative 36x squared, and 80x? So first, let's check the smallest number is 4. Does 4 multiply to 36? Yep. Does 4 multiply to 80? Yep. And the other thing I observe is that each of these actually has an extra x. So in this case, my GCF is 4x. Okay, 4x times x squared, that's 4 times 1 is 4. X times x times x is x to the third. 4 times what is 36? Again, if you need to, no problem to use this. 4 times 9 is 36. And it's negative 36, so I'm going to make it negative 9. And 4 times 2 is 8, so 4 times 20 is 80. Okay, and notice, look, 4 times negative 9 is negative 36. X times x is x squared. 4 times 20 is 80, and x times, no additional x, but there's an x here, okay? So notice, I took out this x here, and each of these has one less x. All right, so now I can go ahead and bring this down. Now I have two numbers that multiply to a positive and add to a negative. I know that can only be negative, negative. Negative times negative is positive. Negative plus negative is negative. And what are two numbers that multiply to 20 and add to 9? That would be 5 and 4. Okay, go ahead and try the rest of the practice problems.